In this video, we'll learn to sketch the graph of trigonometric function cotx. Let us try to plot the graph of cotangent of x or cotx. So here, what we can do is, the first thing we have to understand is tan of 0 degrees is 0. So cot of 0 would be infinity. Similarly, tan of pi, which is 180, is also 0. So cot of pi would be infinity. So depending on if we are approaching from the right hand side or the left hand side, we would get minus infinity or plus infinity. So we want to understand all the cotangent values from 0 to pi. So let's first find the values of cotangent at 0, pi by 3, pi by 6. So for every 30-degree interval, let's find the values of cotangent. So please take some time, solve it yourself, and then we'll get back in a minute. Okay, now we have found the values of cotangent of x at different angles from 0 to 210 degrees or 7 pi by 6. Let's try to plot this in a graph. So this will be my y-axis. This will be my x-axis. So x dash, y dash, and this is 0 degrees. Now let's start to mark this. So every unit would be 30 degrees. So pi by 6, pi by 3, pi by 2, 2 pi by 3, 5 pi by 6, pi, 7 pi by 6. Same way in the negative side, minus pi by 6, minus pi by 3, and minus pi by 2. Okay, now let's start to plot this. So at 0 it is infinity, so let's ignore that for now. So this will be plus 0.5, plus 1, plus 1.5, plus 2, and this would be minus 0.5, minus 1, minus 1.5, and minus 2. Now let's start to mark these values. So at pi by 3, we have 1.73 as the value, so it would be somewhere here, this point. And at pi by 6, at 60 degrees, we have 0.58. So that would be somewhere here. And at pi by 2, it is 0. And at 2 pi by 3, it is minus 0.58. So it would be very close to this point. And what is the next value? It's 5 pi by 6, so it is minus 1.73, so somewhere here. And pi, it approaches infinity. So if you notice here, we have pi with the negative point and pi with the positive at the top. So basically what it means is, when we are approaching from the left hand side, we mark it with left hand side in the sense, so when we are moving towards the right this way, when the values are increasing, so we consider it to be moving from left to right, so it is minus. And when we are moving in the opposite direction from right hand side to left hand side, we consider it to be positive. So let's join all these points. So we would get something like this. So when we join this is what we get for all the values we know. But if you notice here, as it approaches 0, the value goes to infinity. Same way, as the value approaches pi, the value goes to infinity. So now if you see this period, this is pi. So for every pi distance, so the next period which has the angle of pi, we would see the same graph. So for example, if this is 7 pi by 2, this is somewhere here, we would get 3 pi by 2, we would get something similar like this. So yeah, so this is how we can actually find out. So if this is 2 pi, and I'm sorry, this should actually extend up to pi. So if I extend this, so this would go something like this. So for every pi period, which is the which is a time frame in which the wave or the graph repeats, we would see this type of a graph for cotangent of x. So similarly, if you see here, on the negative side, we would get something like this, moving up to here. If it is minus pi here, we would get something like this. So this is the graph of cotangent of x. Please subscribe the channel and also share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.